Hello to my friends, my fellow artists, the Young Ballers, and the Art League family. William McMahon here. I am going to be doing a demonstration on drawing a general generic ear from profile, and I hope you all enjoy. So I'm going to be drawing a general generic ear, and what I tell people is that, first of all, I've been teaching drawing for about 14 years now, and one thing that I see that people across different levels of experience and different ages and whatnot, in general, people tend to shy away from drawing ears. It's one subject matter that intimidates a lot of artists, not everyone. But when I evaluate portraits, ears are one of the first things that I look and check to see how the artist is handling the ear. And even if the ear isn't rendered with a great amount of detail or value range, that's okay, but I check to see how large the ear is and if it's placed properly and if it's suggested in a manner that shows a degree of understanding and confidence. So I'm starting my drawing light, loose, and quick. So basically the point of what I was saying a second ago too is to just encourage everyone to please try to embrace drawing ears and embrace this formula. And the sooner you can become confident and competent in rendering ears, it's an empowering thing for artists. So I block in the general shape of the ear, and again, I'm drawing from profile. And people have asked me, okay, what would you compare an ear to? I would maybe say a nose is sort of like a sphere for the ball of the nose, semicircle for nostrils, etc. They say, well, what kind of shapes would you use for the ear? I don't really have a shape for the kind of outside of the ear. It's just a sort of form that try to practice and familiarize yourself with. Now, what I do ask people to pay attention to when they're rendering an ear is to think less about observing what's inside the ear, the cartilage and whatnot, but do pay attention to the size of the ear, the shape of the ear, how close it is to the head, how far away it is, that sort of thing. You pay attention to that sort of thing, that's how you achieve likeness. This is general generic. Block in the sort of form of the ear. Then I come about approximately halfway up. I'm going to draw on my ear bud. Just a little semicircle, a little arc. Then I'm going to mimic the outside contour of the entire ear. It's kind of ear flap here. Think about light source. I'll put my light source in the upper left. Now, once I have this blocked in, I then try to, I just have a general formula for drawing the cartilage of the ear. I like to think of it as being the shape of sort of a Y or a stethoscope. So it'll be that sort of shape fitting in here for the cartilage. Now, what I used to do is I would have people draw in a Y and then expand upon that initial structure. The way I think that it actually is the easiest to render in a quick, efficient, consistent manner is to think of creating the cartilage using 3 arcs. So between the earbud and the top of the ear, I'm going to come in with 1 arc as such. Then I'm going to leave some space to show the thickness of the cartilage, and I'll come and I'll mimic the shape of the earbud. I'll come down, and then I'm going to have 1/3 mark, 1 long arc to just to connect them. So now I've created this sort of Y shape or stethoscope shape, and then the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of a transitional area from the ear flap into the ear cavity down here. And now I'm going to soften these edges because there's not a firm line around the cartilage. I'm going to soften them and bend them just a little bit more, nuance them just a tiny bit more to make them look a little bit less uniform, because cartilage is going to have some twisting and some irregularity. Make that. Keeping everything light. Getting rid of these lines. I'll soften these. And I'm going to then rely on contour lines to help show the viewer the rise and fall, the crevices in the ear. Okay, if I were, again, contour lines we think of as line following form, so I'm giving myself what I call a contour guideline. Light source upper left, transitional. Now, the area in between the cartilage is going to be fairly flat, so I'm going to keep my marks more geometric to show the viewer this is a flatter area. Down here we're going to have the ear lobe, which oftentimes have a little bit more value. Sometimes you get a little bit of a pinkish color. Now I'm going to use my light source here. I'm going to think, okay, the cartilage is tucking underneath the flap, so I'm going to have some cast shadow from the flap onto the cartilage. Always considering light source in all of my renderings. It's the only way we know how to shade. And now with my light source upper left, I'm going to use my contour guidelines, my map that I laid out for myself, to help me make these marks showing the shadow in a way that is informative for the viewer. I'll reinforce and feather out just a little bit beyond my initial marks, getting gradually lighter as we go towards the light source. And if you see now, I return in to the recessed area of the ear, and it's something that I've developed over time that I advocate for, and I've demonstrated it so regularly that it's sort of become second nature for me. But I'm always bouncing around my drawings, whatever I'm rendering. Whether if I'm drawing a whole face, I'm going from eye to nose to cheekbone to jaw to ear. And even if I'm doing something like just rendering an ear, I'm bouncing around the drawing instinctively. We always want to try to progress our drawings as a whole. Now, maybe the ear is protruding off the head, so I'll do a little cast shadow. Now I'm at the stage of the drawing where I have everything in place, and in order for me to make the drawing look more three-dimensional, have it pop off the page more, I'm going to be creating my range of value. To have a drawing look the most three-dimensional, we want to get rich dark values and bright white values and a range of gray. And the way we know where to assign those values is through light source. I think, okay, the cartilage is popping off, so I'll have even a little cast shadow from the cartilage onto the back part of the ear. The opening of the ear is going to be an orifice, so this will lean darker. A nice thing to do as well, just to show the viewer the different planes and the different staggered levels of the ear. I'll come through and do a bit of horizontal hatching along the flap. Turn to my cast shadow, pop that ear off the head. This would be a more subtle transition from the cartilage to the rest of the ear, but I'll go in and reinforce that value range to pop the cartilage up. Now I'm doing some cross hatching. Reinforce a little bit of more value from the flap onto the cartilage to set it underneath. Every mark has a purpose. The nice thing about drawing ears is that once you get this formula down for drawing an ear in profile and you feel comfortable with it, the formula largely remains the same. It's just that the ear compresses and becomes flatter and flatter. The sort of forms still stay the same. They just flatten out. So we'll address that in future demonstrations. I hope that this video has been informative. We are working hard at the Art League of Jacksonville on our Art League Online presence. I appreciate everyone checking out the videos. Please feel free to comment. Please consider subscribing to our channel, Art League Online. We're going to be trying to bring you a lot of great content from a lot of great artists, people that really care. Thank you all.